Hi everyone, welcome to round 8 from the 2030 British Chess Championships, and now I'm on a still very bad 2.5 out of 7, and now it is time to this is a game with a good chance for some FIDE points, because my opponent had a low Rcf to me of 144 to my 151, but his FIDE is 1801 to my 1747, so even if so, I have to probably play bad. Even if I play bad, I'll probably still get a draw perhaps, and some FIDE points. I was playing Nick Mahoney, who is another northerner, although a bit further away in the north. But still, I'll probably get good chances to play him in congresses, local congresses as well. And he also is one of the organisers of the Calderdale Congress, which I did a series on, as you recall, in May. Well, I didn't do the series in May, but the tournament was in May. And interestingly enough, in one of the rounds, the game against Jim State in round 1, I actually did my prep for it with him, borrowing his Roy Lopez book, but as you know, that prep was completely useless and I got pasted as a result. But now this is the interesting point, because he played d4, and I know he plays a few different things, but one of his main weapons is the Chomposky, which, as we know, I absolutely hate. But the interesting point is that usually when you play 1e6, they'll just play 2c4, and I get to play my names or maybe in classical Dutch or something. But this game was actually the first time ever in a series game where I've actually got to play the French from 1d4 move order. And I actually had a feeling he would play 2e4, because I remember in the conversations that he likes the Tarrasch. And he'd bought the bulletin. I saw him studying my game against Chantel in round 6. Which is, I actually walked into it on purpose. He actually spent about 5 minutes on 2e4, because in one of his early games against Mark Whitehead, he played c4 and we had a Nim zone. And he played actually the line which I like to play as white, the Queen c2 one, and ended in a Grandmaster draw. But yeah, d4, e6 to avoid the Chomposky, since I didn't fancy getting pasted, because I cannot play against Chomposky whatsoever. I mean, there's always an opening that people can't play against. Like people can't play. A lot of people say they can't play against the French. Actually, interestingly enough, I can't play against the Chomposky or the Torre as well. I hate that one as well. Basically, anything with Bg5. Anyway, yeah, so always play as expected. But I didn't prep at all. I used to look to my improvements in my game against Chantel, and we followed that path. d5, and then he played a Tarrasch as expected. It follows the same path. There's no point, unless you're stupid enough to skip the game against Chantel, then no point looking at any of this. It's all the same. And the funny thing is, she was playing next to us. Castles. So again, and then he played Bg5. Of course, I had my still my prep ready for Bh4, the exchange sacks and F3, which you can find my game against her, the details. Bg5. Bh7. Actually, I've got an improvement. Actually, my next game is actually to play this immediately. This could be an improvement. Because then if knight c3, the queen comes in immediately, and there's already the bishop takes h2 check for it. I've not wasted the tempo on Bh7. So maybe I consider this for future games. Bh7 was played. Then he played knight c3. God, and I saw bashed that queen 8 instantly. I think I'd gained 5 minutes at this point when I started the game. And now here comes the deviation. As you remember, she played rook e1, queen h5, and then the terrible move knight b5, and then I played an equally bad move, letting me get away with it. When of course I had this bish h2 stuff. Remember this variation? We had this kind of thing. And then instead I played bishop e8, she played h3, made like a complete mug, and then that interesting game emerged, which I recommend you check out actually. Round 6 it is. But his deviation, this is actually a better move than what she played, I think, because he's getting ready to play Bg3 and challenge my bishop, which is a standard manoeuvre in the trash. I played queen h5 anyway. I was a bit worried about this actually. I don't know why I was worried. So I've got to move the queen or something, but I can just play knight e4 actually. And it seems that this fingers not discover his works, the bishop's hanging, so I don't know what I was worried for. Maybe Bg3 I could actually capture the knight. and then get my queen off this diagonal, perhaps. Maybe this. Should we go for black? But he played Bg3, so I took it, and he played f takes g3. This is a very bad move, this, because there's a chronic weakness at the e3 square. I expected hg3, but actually that seems he's already messed up. Actually, it seems that Bg3 is not a good move. I wonder if I can try that knight b5 stuff again, and if that's any good in this position. Yeah, bishop takes h2 is actually no good, because well, actually it might be. We can take with the king, but I've got g5. I have knight takes g5, the bishop's hanging, but after rook h1, I don't think this is that great. So actually, but I can play bishop f4. I don't have to block my rooks in. And then Bg3, and if takes. That knight can become quite annoying, but I still got this stuff. With rook takes f3 sacks in the air, so it forces knight h4 and then g5, Bg2 and then e5. And there's a similar line to that in the game. So the Bg3, bishop takes. I think he should have played h takes. Instead, after the game, he's worried he could not survive the attack after knight g4, because of course the immediate threat is to sacrifice on f3 and then mate on h2. The only defense is to play knight to h4. And now if I play, the first option is to play knight takes d4. If bishop takes h7, check. King takes h7. Queen takes d4. g5 wins, I think. f3. The knight just retreats. And actually f3 traps white. White's knight's actually trapped. And of course if white doesn't play f3 and moves the knight, then it's mate on h2. While after knight f3 we sack the rook on f3. So white drops a piece and this continues if he tries bishop takes h7 check. So this actually nabs a pawn. And an important pawn as well. Because now it's going to destroy white's e5 outpost and creates passed pawn in the centre. Also often, the move which I looked at was g5. If we'd played this is forces bishop e2, and now we play e5, which is a typical move in this line where you liberate your bishop. Even as a pawn stacks, there's plenty of threats now. Well, there's g takes h4 for a start. In fact, this actually wins a piece. Actually, of course, there's a few complications. Oops, not that. There's of course this pawn going with check, but we can play rook f7. And e6 cannot be played because we can take the queen and then the pawn. And of course you can't try taking the rook with check in between to show you this. e6 fails because we just take the queen. If we try taking the rook with check, then we take the with the queen. So after rook f7, he has to take the pawn. Then we take this guy, threatens mate. So then he has to take this guy gets took, and white only has 2 pawns for the piece. And okay, my king's a little bit open, but this is still very good for black. So it's actually, well, when we looked at it afterwards in the beef eater, GM Thorpe said that white should play h takes g3 because white has done nothing wrong and it's good for white, but the actual fact is he played the correct move, which is f takes g3. So sorry to disappoint you, GM Thorpe, if you're watching. But f takes g3, I've still got knight g4, and he has to watch out for the e3 square. So of course I'm threading knight e3 immediately, so he plays knight h4, which I expected. And now there's some interesting lines with the tension between f-file. Let's have a sip of Fanta. Okay. Now I played what I thought was quite a strong move, queen g5, but it's actually not that good. I thought it unpins the knight because there's bishop e2 threats, because if I play something like this, which is actually a good move, I thought this would be rather embarrassing. But actually this is completely garbage because we play rook takes f1 check. And yeah, it wins because if either bishop or queen takes, then, well, if bishop takes my knight's not pinned, or queen takes the knight's not attacked twice, I can take white's knight, so we have to take with the king, but that's even worse because we have queen to f7 check, and into f2 with the queen, of course. Stupid board. and then we have this, and if this, we have this. So black wins. So actually Bg2 is a blunder. So again, it's just me missing tactics all the time. It's absolute crazy. These chessy decisions haven't really done much good. So white probably has to give up the F file and then play Bg2, but absolute E5 with a very complicated position. If D-E5, we play this, and then if we grab this pawn with check, we just got the queen back. And again, we've got a piece for 2 pawns. If white tries taking this guy, then of course we always can take this guy as well. So very interesting lines of this game. So actually after G5, which is actually the strongest move, so rook takes F8, rook takes F8. Actually Bg2, E5, D5, Gh4, the best is that queen takes D5 check is not the best move. White should play H3 instead, not an easy move to find. Which attack harasses my knight again, and then after I take this pawn, then take it. And in fact in this position, now my knight's attacked, I should block with the rook instead. And again E6 doesn't work for reasons earlier. So white, and then white could try to play rook F1, piling up the pressure. So now the knight and the G knight can't move, his pin. So we've got to take with this knight, and then not that again. Stupid sensitive mouse or touchpad. Then everything comes off, and now actually it says bishop takes G4. Yeah, bishop takes G4, and after everything comes off, knight E4, knight E5, knight takes G3. Black has a slightly better chances in this endgame due to the slightly more centralised king, but the real result will be a draw. So actually 18 rook takes F8 check seems to lead to a long computer line which ends in a draw. Not bad to say I have black pieces, but sadly we didn't quite, well luckily we didn't quite get that far. Yeah, so G5 is a forced draw. Okay, I play queen G5. This unpins the knight and prepares the friend's knight E3, which would win in exchange. And now the only move he has is to play rook E1, which covers the threat. And now I should probably it's actually hard to find a move now because because the pawn with queen G5 I've took away my G5 plan, which is if I had a P of a brain and could calculate, then maybe I would have played G5 move before. But then again, you might find all my moves and then got a draw. So in this position I can try crazy stuff like E5, sacking this pawn, because I get this one as well. I'll take with the knight actually, thanks very much. But then white can get the queens off, so it's not so clear, and I've got an isolated pawn with maybe not enough compensation for it. So maybe after rook E1 I'll just do something calm, I'll put a rook on the C file. Or something anyway. Because knight E3 actually is pretty harmless. In fact, knight E3 I think is pretty bad because of queen D2 and now the knight's actually pinned. So, with knight takes something like this happens, so white's a piece up. So that's a bit past the C's attack that. It's a sort of move you get in a minor. Mind you, I'm playing like someone in a minor, so maybe it's appropriate. I'd probably blunder with knight E3. But to my surprise, he played, well, let's look at a few other moves first actually, because there's also a threat of knight takes D4 as well. If he tries getting moving the tension on the F file, after rook takes F8, it seems now the entrance into F2 will be decisive, and if he tries getting the queens off, then no queen swap for you, mate. I'm going to hack you up instead, and in fact I'm going to hack the D4 pawn off the board instead. Bang bang. And then boom. But he played knight F3, which is a blunder. Actually, I didn't play the strongest move. Obviously, you just see, of course, there's an easy combination to win an exchange in this position. To be honest, that's probably the best I could think of for a test in this game. So, yeah, in fact, no, it's a rubbish test. In fact, this is the test actually. Okay, so we've got obviously this, which I played, which wins an exchange. But can you find a stronger move for black in this position than what I played? What I like to play, remember what they say, when you find a good move, stop and find a better move. I used to play Queen E3 check like almost instantly. Okay, pause video. Okay, now we resume. Queen H6 is actually stronger. It keeps the threats of Queen E3 and knight. In fact, it renews the threat of knight E3, so the two pieces can use this square. And the point is, if white tries to cover it with his rook now, then we've got this move. And after, if he takes, then that's mate in 2. So the point is now there isn't, if the rook can't move, in fact there's an added threat now if rook takes F3 in some lines. So he has to play something like H3. And that was the difference. Queen E3. King H1. Knight in. Rook takes. Queen takes. There's a little subtle difference in the game. Compare these two positions. Right, pitch this position. Now look at this one. What's the difference in them two positions? It's a little game spot the difference like you did when you were a little kid. Yeah, and there's like comics that like spot the difference. There's a difference. The difference is that the pawn G3 is hanging. So if white tries, if white tries this in the game, we're gonna actually play this instead. But the pawn G3 hanging makes this even stronger because black actually keeps the initiative. Whereas in the game, although I've won the exchange, I do actually lose the initiative. But still, it's still very good. But Queen C2, I thought for a second, this would be quite a dangerous move. Because if I play G6, then we've got that potentially. Or even stronger, actually, is this. Which forces me to give my queen up for a lot of pieces. Because my queen's actually trapped, so I've only got a rook and knight for queen. So actually, queen B1 creates a very sneaky threat of knight D1, which I probably would have missed. But of course, it is actually refuted by rook takes F3, bishop H7, king H8, GF, queen F, king moves, rook F8. So it's actually gone to equal material, but black's got a crushing attack, and moves like E5 and bishop H3 are coming as well. So white is toast. You play Queen C2, which does. I still could have played this tactic. It's bishop H7, king moves, GF, Queen F, King G1, Rook F8. It's not quite as strong, but it's still pretty strong. In fact, the only move is bishop G6. I'm not sure why it's the only move. What happens if he does something else? What happens if he, let's just give a nothing move. Oh, that's a pretty strong threat. Yeah, so bishop G6. So my king isn't attacking the bishop, so I'll take on D4, I can just move his queen. But I can harass the bishop again. And this is not nice. In fact, I think I want a piece. Let's look at this then. Well, that's pretty nasty. Yeah, I think the bishop gets stuck. But I just played it safe and took his queen off, took mine. And I was a bit uneasy actually, because although I'm the exchange, but it should be a matter of technique. The trash endgames are usually quite bad for black, because we've got, you see, weakness on E6, we've got a weakness on E5. It's bishop, bad bishop. So my first plan is to, well, play an absolute weird move first. I don't know, I didn't know what this does. I think my plan was for bishop E8, and then if he tries, in fact this is my plan, to play bishop E8 to get my bishop around to swap white's off, and if he tries this fork, now because his bishop's on B1, I've got a mate in 1. So I played A3, and king G1 to stop the mate, so now he really is threatening to invade on G5, so I play rook F6, which supports bishop G6, and then I don't have my pawns doubled. H3, bishop G6, I'll skip over the rest of it quite quickly. G4, so I've got to be careful with my rook getting stuck, so I moved it back to F6. Rook came to D1. Rook C8. I'd say white's got enough compensation for one pawn for the exchange, but not two. King f2, knight e5, trying to invade on the light squares. King G3, that came into c4. Rook b1, which is quite nice, which sets maybe a trap if I'm greedy and try and grab a pawn with this tactic. Then this is not so great. Well, first of all, he's got this, but even if this could be some unnecessary counterplay, although I do have rook takes a3 in this position, but I do have to be careful still. Rook cf8, which is a rather nothing move. I think I'd seen some, but it never actually happened. a4 was played. Not sure why. Knight back to d6, trying to get the e4 square to swap pieces off so I can realise my extra material. Rook e1. Rook e8. So now I've got to watch out now. I've got to keep my rook protected though. He has knight takes d5 as a cheapo. As Rybka said, cheapo. He put his knight into e5. I played g5, which is actually a very good move. Now, but I was worried with something like this he might be able to play h4. But I actually just take it and then invade my rook. So h6. Rook e2, now rook f4. Preparing to stick a knight on e4 and either have a very strong knight or swap pieces off, and it also blocks the attack of my e6 point. So I don't have to worry about these stupid knight d5 cheapos. G1, knight e4. So now he's practically got to take it. He got took. I take with the rook. He's about to keep the rook, so if he takes the rook, it's practically game over already. Because his knight has to move. If he goes back to here, then I just push. And then we just like this. This is practically over. And if his knight comes into here, again rook d8 seems to win this pawn. Actually it does, because there's no way to defend it. Not good. So rook d1 was played. I was a bit worried about rook c1 for a bit actually, because I can't stop his really coming in, but it seems pretty harmless. Because if rook c7, I play rook b3, which protects everything and also attacks his b pawn, but he might have some initiative with this. So I think rook c1 was his best try. Rook d1 was played, which does keep an eye on the d pawn. I played rook c8, stopping any rook c1s. Rook d2 to protect to get the rank. Rook c4. And now I've formulated the winning plan. He played b3 to protect his pawn. Rook b4. Rook c3 was stronger, because it forces b4 and then rook b3, b5, rook a3, and then the a pawn drops. But you see, now I've got my rooks active, I've got rid of some of his active pieces. It's now an easy win. Rook d3, rook e2, king h2, rook b2, so I'm forcing his knight back. And now the point is, none of white's pieces can actually move except the king. Like his rook and knight complete cat haven't got a single move, and I can improve my position at will. And in fact, I found the winning plan. I played b5. He's got to take. I take the rook. He still can't move anything except his king, so his king moves. And then I played rook a5. And now he blundered by moving his knight, which allows a nice finish. But even if he continues moving his king and that, say to f3. I can now move my semi rook to a1, or I can just slowly bring my king in. It'll just be a little slow torture for maybe 52 hours. Knight f3, and then this is the finish. Well, actually, I missed it. Actually, it's not a good finish. Actually, I thought it was. Actually, I can play this immediately. I thought he just put his knight e1, and then what have I got? But I've got rook e2, and this is actually very nasty, because the only move he has is to move the rook, and then we've got check. Takes his pawn. A problem in this game was because I won material really fast and played the opening really fast. I was like, I couldn't really slow down. I played way too fast this game for time limits, but got a bit overconfident. But then again we had a nice finish. I played rook c3, okay, 3, and after knight goes back to guard the pawn, I now play this move, skewering his knight to the g2 point, and now it is completely lost. So we resigned, because if his knight moves, well, that's mate 1. If his knight hasn't got any other squares except here, which is also a mate which is not quite mating 1, but good enough. So now 2 wins in a row. The shock and horror. A very unfamiliar feeling for me to have won 2 games in a row. Usually glad to have won 1 in a row. And hopefully I can close in on the Hilton prize, which is the best score in each week, and a much needed £100, which could get me another Congress before loan day. So can I do it? Please check out the final 3 rounds. Also around this point, a lot of people actually, a lot of our friends actually only come for the second week, so there's like a massive gang of us now in B3, and some of the last 3 I did in the last few days were absolutely incredible. But the second week was definitely the best at 2 weeks. I hope you enjoyed the gaming video, and stay tuned for rounds 9 to 11 coming soon, and please leave any comments and thoughts. Thanks very much.